YouTube, we're back live and in action 2 days in a row where it's like setting a record. Had the heat issue yesterday. I don't know if I guess it didn't come through on the broadcast, but phone was overheating yesterday, so it turned off on me there, and that's why it got cut short. But I want to follow up today on the same discussion, because Dad on YouTube did an excellent job of following on my thoughts. Dad on YouTube did a video yesterday afternoon. I think my view is much superior to his. He was looking like at some back alley somewhere. But he did a good response on his thoughts on the kind of mindset and people we're dealing with and why we do what we do. And he ultimately got to the point of really describing that we're all going to end up in the same place, which is kind of the point I wanted to get to. Are we going to end up in the same place regardless of what we do? You know, regardless of what actions we take, whether we follow the crowd and be a sheep, or we're out here doing our thing, making ourselves feel better about, you know, being prepared and being the canary in the coal mine in a lot of respects, being the one that warns everybody. Dad's ultimate conclusion was we're all going to end up in pods eating bugs. I would respond to that with, no, we're not. But I get where he's coming from. I get the sentiment of us individually are not going to be able to turn the tide enough to prevent those things from happening. But that probably won't happen in our lifetime, I don't think. Interestingly, something came up in discussion last night, and me and the man-child were talking, and it was a similar discussion, and ultimately the similar conclusion he had was like, we're still going to end up, you know, 1984 style. Like, it's not going to stop it. Nothing's going to stop it, right? Like, I kind of have an optimistic view on Gen Z. He doesn't. As a Gen Z individual, he doesn't see, even though they're better than the millennials overall, they're still not active or engaged enough with those around him. Was what he kind of pointed out, was he was talking about, like, Gen Z is not going to do the things necessary because they're not engaged with other people. They're not out there in the community building mode as a whole, right? As a large percentage of the population. As a large percentage of the Gen Zers. So that kind of made me sad a little bit. Because really the next generation's the hope, right? Because if Gen X doesn't start it, if Gen X doesn't, and Dad pointed it out, without a cataclysmic event, he did caveat his point that without a cataclysmic event of some sort, things are going to progress forward. The powers that be are going to be able to move their agenda forward and pretty much press everybody into the mold they want and get everybody into the pods and into the eating bugs, right? That was kind of the way he closed up, and that, you know, with short of a CME, you know, tsunamis, you know, tidal waves and great earthquakes and everything, without those things, it's not going to stop. But as long as I have property, you'll be able to come and get meat at my property anytime. We will trade you for everything short of beef. Beef's the only thing we don't have. I kind of think sheep is superior to beef anyway, in many ways. But you'll be able to visit as long as I'm around, which may mean I'm not around very long. If that's the prerequisite. That'd be like, yeah, we're cutting this short. But to follow on also from yesterday's discussion, you know, putting yourself in the mindset or just kind of reviewing your progress and your travels on this journey that we've been on, you've been on, we've been on, uh, and being a prepared or being aware of the disaster and cataclysmic nature of things going on around us. Um, Putting yourself outside that and thinking about what if I just decided not to pay attention to those things and just decided to do like everybody else or what seems like everybody else. Is everybody else just aware and just not responding? Is that the situation? um, I think most of us would say no, because most people, you if you talk to them about certain things, they look at you like you're crazy. So that puts us in the crazy pool, right? Dad calls it crazy train. I calls it the crazy pool, whichever uh, euphemism you want to use or categorization you want to use is fine. Um, but are the people in the crazy pool really that much more aware of their surroundings than those people? And following on with my losing our holding device here. Um, Following along with what I was talking about with the man child was he was saying that Gen X is very, or Gen Z, I should say, is very much tuned out to anything other than what they're presented. And he kind of broke it down and explained his thought and what he sees based upon just the generation is the first generation brought up solely in an internet age, right? Since they were little bitty itty tiny people, they've always had access to the internet and encouraged, access to screens, right? And he painted a pretty dire picture with that. And I was like, you got a good point that they're pretty much zoomed in on that, and then everything around them is pretty much they're insulated from their environment, from the real world, right? They're insulated very much from, and that gives the powers of V a lot of leeway in what they can get away with because you're comforted when you get in front of that screen and they look at whatever they're looking at as that's their normalcy bias, and they're normally looking at their screen doing whatever and interacting with whoever they want, be they real or not. In a lot of cases they're not even real people. And that's their comfort zone. So what happens out here in the real world, they don't really pay attention or get affected by. So that really puts us in a, that you're literally like dealing with the matrix now of people who will be like, I know the steak's not real and it tastes good, but they don't care. They would rather be in the matrix than out here in the real world. Whereas you can see the weather has changed drastically from yesterday to today. But to follow up also on Dad's point, I don't think the pods are inevitable. It will take a drastic measures. Gen X might be our last hope. It might be us old folks that have to get it done. Unfortunately, I don't know that Gen X understands that. We've always been kind of the leave me alone types. So you don't need to get involved in everybody else's business. Like, I'll stay over here and do my thing. You stay over there and do your thing. We'll be okay. But the powers that be aren't going to allow that to happen. And like your dad talked about, there's that 10% that wants to press everybody into their mold of what they want done. So it would take drastic measures, and I think we've hounded that point to the ground before. You have to reach critical mass on numbers and get a great number of people upset or motivated to make a difference, right? You have to get enough people motivated to make a difference. And the number of people that are prepping are not enough people to motivate that. I mean, there's people that are motivated to prep and to be prepared and to be independent and self-sufficient. There's that form of motivation. Then there's a different form of motivation to action. And there's just not enough of that because of, I think, what my the man child was pointing out is people are comfortable. And if Gen Z is comfortable at the point they are in life, if unlike the boomers who are willing to get out in the streets, if Gen Z is not willing to do that, yeah, we're in for a bad ride. Um, but who wants to go out like that, right? Who wants to go out like that? It makes you. I don't know what you if any of you thought this far down the train. Kind of what the point of the video yesterday was how far. Because really, if there's no point to it, why not just go back and chase the dollars and chase the money and chase the prestige and all the other things that society does and just live like they do? Why do the things we do? If you believe, if you go like Dad, that is just a personality flaw that we have, that the stubborn gene, as I think my grandparents would call it, the stubbornness kicks in, and you're too stubborn to go along with the rest of everybody else. Just the ideal of being a little different is enough. So that'll kind of close out that discussion. Because I think we're going to be real shocked come November. We'll be real shocked come November how many people are just happy with the way things are. Everybody's everybody still thinks that, or not everybody. I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people still think they're going to vote for change in November. You're going to be shocked at the number of people that vote to keep this the real crazy train that's running the show going with the disaster things that are going down. I'm not sure though how they can insulate people from the economic realities. Though I don't know how long it can happen or what they're going to do to keep people from feeling the real economic pain of it all, or they just tell people and people accept that they need to feel the economic pain and they'll deal with it and not respond, not have a agenda of really making things different. Because as we've discussed long and hard, as long as the fiat dollar's around, ain't nothing going to change. That's the ultimate change that can only make things different, is change in the monetary system. And they want to change the monetary system to our negative with this whole digital agenda they're pushing. Because if once it's digital, once they get your fiat dollars all digitized and everything is locked up into a traceable, controllable currency on the internet, on your computer, on your phone, pretty much is probably what it's going to end up being, is then they have the ultimate control. They can control everything you do, everywhere you go, and everything. And that's what they want. So I guess we should be thankful we still have fiat dollars to a certain degree physically. But as soon as they digitize that whole asset and make it, that's all you get is basically credits that they call I don't know what they'll call it, but it's going to be digital only. And there's no way around it. Then we're really, really tied up. It's like there's always another level of control that we don't see coming, right? A lot of people begged for there to be a digital currency. It's going to be great. You're going to have all this independence. No, you're not. They're going to be able to lock you out. you know? So it ultimately ties into the economic control grid. That's the ultimate form of control that they have over people. And just something to think about. Hope you liked the video yesterday. Go check out Dad on YouTube's video, his thoughts and everything. But, why did we choose this path that we chose, right? Why did we choose to, and Dad on YouTube brought this up too, about how people are going to deal with you. You don't even own what you think you own. Not only will it be the currencies, and the money that you think you have, that's not really yours. Because if you don't hold it, you don't own it, right? But he talks about how, um, and D Vincent just brought that up. The electric car will pull over for a cop for remote control, but also they're monetizing everything about things you buy. And Dad on YouTube brought it up about how you gotta. There's some car company that's charging you to use your heated seats by fee per service, like monthly subscription. Like they've got it so fine tuned now that even if you buy a vehicle, you don't have access to all the features unless you pay a service fee monthly. Like, and he was going down the list of different things, and potentially to the point to where it just won't run because you haven't paid your service fees on. And he made an example of a Tesla driver that got a basically an expanded battery pack for his Tesla, and they shut it down on him because he hadn't paid a fee. And all these fees that are going to get attached to stuff, and I think we've heard about it with Apple and phone companies locking you out of service and stuff. Um, so yeah, it's one of those things. Even the whole "you'll own nothing and you'll like it" culture is the real next step as well. Um, so grin and bear it is a hard thing. We don't want to go through that. Um, but what are the alternatives, right? Grin and bear it doesn't sit well with most of us. We're just getting too old too fast without enough voice to do anything about it. It seems like, because the blind sheep continue to lead themselves into that barn just as blissful as they go because they love to eat bugs and they have no problems, even though all the positive measures they talk about are lies. you know but let me see who checked in here. I guess that's the end of that, but make sure you check out Dad. And since we don't have the heat of yesterday, I might be able to hang in here a little bit. What time we got here? Make sure we're staying on time. We got a few minutes. What's up, Jason? How you doing? Saints and Sappers, what's up? Food Force, what's up, Howie? How you doing up there? The Saints in the house. Curb Stomp, how you doing? What does it matter? This whole thing is done, right? Well, what's the whole thing, though? What is the whole thing? Life? Is life done? America? Sure. The idea of America is more important than the actual physical geography, right? I tried harping on this a few years ago and just didn't get any traction, but the idea of freedom is much more important than any political associations between the states, right? Disbanding borders and changing and getting rid of states and DC and all this stuff is needed and necessary to be able to advance any sort of freedom in the future. But people are so stuck on 50 states and 50 stars on the flag and everything else. People are so stuck in that mindset that they're not willing to accept change unless it's all everybody together, kumbaya. And that's maybe it's just a fear of what happened the last time there was a division between the states. They don't want that type of violent war effort to occur again, and I get that. But people have to understand that. I don't know what it takes to get people to understand that that's not going to happen, and you don't want it to happen, because the longer everything stays together, the more control there is, the less freedom you're going to have. Chase the money changers like Jesus, right? Well, chase them with lead, maybe. Chase them down with lead, or whatever your tool of choice is. Hey, what's up, War Drums? How you doing? Yep, it's raining. Unlike yesterday, it was hot and muggy because the rain rolled in again yesterday afternoon, and you could see the clouds building up, but then it's hung in today, and we've had rain 3 days in a row. That's like a real anomaly around here, but much needed. Yeah, D. Vincent checked in. Electric cars limit your distance, completely shut down, right, Saint? It's like I'm catching up here. Heated seat subscription. What's up, M Long? How you doing? More rain here today, M Long. Saints and Sapper says new CNC machines are like that. You miss a payment, they shut off your machine. What happens when you make all your payments, Saints? Do they still have access to shut off your machine? Why would your CNC machine be connected to the internet? We have the will, but not the dollars, says Curb Stomp. Um, I don't know how many. I mean, I guess it's important to have the dollars to be able to go out and free up your time, so that you have the time to go do more, and more money you have means you can free up your time and not be connected to whatever is job you have, employment. Um, I'm not sure if I don't know that there's the will there, because you have to have numbers. You have to have a certain number of people with the will, and I don't know if we have that. We don't have the numbers, but dollars help. Have being independent but wealthy. If we were all Elon Musk, we'd definitely be more in the black. More set up. Instead of being in the red. Mitchell Black, how you doing? Dad's YouTube name is Dad on YouTube. I put it down and I wrote it out in the description box, but it's if you don't know Dad on YouTube, it's EWE tube, not the YouTube. It's the U. It's the sheep by tube. That's what he goes by. If you don't know Dad, yeah, definitely go check him out. He might drift in here. You never know. He might have commented on the other video too. He might be in the comments of the video from yesterday. You could also check that and just click. You can't click on comments anymore and go to the channels. YouTube putting us on lockdown, but you can see how it's spelled. Dad on EWE tube. So straightforward, pretty much. What's up, Tactical Tone? Tone had a good rant. I guess Tony went live yesterday, just as I was doing live. Tony went to the airport and got stiff armed by the feds because they gave his daughter the runaround. So we had a good Tony rant yesterday. That's always enjoyable. So, Tony's always good for a rant or two. Yeah, they just can't leave well enough alone, can they, Tony? Like you said, there was something else out of your video. What did I catch on to yesterday out of your video? As you were ranting about the worthlessness of the feds. But they've captured the agenda once again. We're 2 years removed from the last time, and they've still got, shockingly enough, like I said last time, the worst thing that could happen is a Biden victory with Trump legalism carrying the day on the R side, and them being like, hold on, we're going to fix this. We're going to, go to court and all those other things. And people are still latched onto that. 2 years later, people are still latched onto the whole election thing and going to court to get it changed and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, Trump has drugged this out and drugged people away from any type of principles so far. As much as they want to say America first and everything else, they've like totally lost focus on anything because they're latched to this cult of personality, and his ego won't let him let go, I guess, or he's just playing his role for the Clintons, as you might think he would, and dragging them further away. And it's totally, that's what I'm saying. People are going to be shocked how many people with a bad agenda get reelected and how many people promote it and continue to move forward with it. Because the alternatives are terrible. In Nevada, the R party in Nevada gave pretty much people no option of who to vote for. There's nobody motivated to vote for people. They're motivated to vote against the D's because of the train wreck, right? But the R's haven't presented anybody to vote for. Lombardo is not somebody anybody north of Tonopah wants to vote for. He's a disaster. He's just another henchman like what's his name, the Sisolak there. It's just train wreck here in Nevada with the way they've done things. And I was talking to a guy last week about the politics because he stayed in the R party and working and doing the things behind the scenes and everything. And I was 10 years ago I jumped off the train and we were just talking about it and he's like, yeah, it's just gotten worse and worse. I'm like, I don't know how it got worse, but they continue to ignore the people that vote. And I don't know, people still take it, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, he was telling about how the state party just continues to ignore people's, what the agenda should be set as and what they want and all the different things as far as party platform and stuff. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty bad. People getting run off at the regular rate. Nobody standing for any principles, just being flexible and, go along to get along with so many different things. And it's like, they wonder why they don't get support and don't win elections. But anyway, that's our problem here. Hopefully it's not as bad everywhere else. Hopefully you got somebody with a backbone somewhere that can get things done. I don't know. Or at least speak out on things at a higher level and everything. What's up, Lance Corporal Veteran? Afternoon. So we'll check out. Thanks for everybody coming out. I wanted to follow up from yesterday's video because I got cut short. And Dad on YouTube did a real good job of closing out my thoughts to a certain degree because he kind of followed on. The ultimate thing is, what's the point of doing all this and why we did what we did? If we would have just went on to get along, how would things be different? I guess you don't have to think about that if you don't want to, but it's just something that I do, I guess, self-reflection of is this really going the way it needs to go, and is it really beneficial to keep things going the way they're going on a personal level? If you're not benefiting, because you're definitely paying the price, right? You're paying a price on many different levels, whether it's economically, spiritually, family-wise, to do the things that you're doing, right? Tony can probably speak to this more than anybody. Tony's changed his environment drastically to do the things, to go out and get removed from this madness, right? So everybody's paid a different cost at some level, professionally with the jobs, and that ties into economics and stuff. Would you have it any other way? And it's like, well, sometimes we enjoy suffering, I guess. Sometimes we enjoy sticking it in the other guy's eye, just being the contrarian. But are we contrarians when we see you see the canary in the coal mine die? Are you really being a contrarian when you can point to everybody and go, see what's going on? It's just facing facts and dealing with them, but people want to go along. People are comfortable. Again, it goes back to comfort, and just people would rather be comfortable than right, I guess, or I don't know how to look at it. You stay comfortable, but you give up so much for that comfort. They're willing to sacrifice their principles and their freedoms and independence and everything else. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining us. Hope you all have a good day. But you know what to do. Same things still remain the same. Well, not the same. I've said for 2 years now, if you're implementing your SHTF plan, because we've been in it for 2 years, but you still got to prep hard, live free, right? So y'all have a good day. 88 Mark, thanks for checking in. We're out of here. Have a good day. Live free.